Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Hey, Lilandra, how are you? Hopefully you can hear the music coming in lightly as well. Hope you're having an amazing weekend as well. How's things going for you? What is new? Hey, Chim, welcome back. Cool cat. Actually, in your case, a cool kitten. You can hear the music and you're doing good. That's all I'd like to, that's like all I can ask for. Really, is you doing good and letting me know about the music. So that's perfect. We got a fun stream planned for today. I hope you guys and gals are excited. Chim, is the audio and video coming through good for you right now? Hey, Morgana, glad that we are getting audio good on your end and video on your end, YouTube. Thank you, thank you. Oop. You know what? Oh my gosh. I totally forgot to update the itinerary. It's okay. I can tell you by heart what our itinerary is today. So for our news segment today, here, let's just bring this up. For our news segment today, we're going to cover a small teaser related to boats. The devs have decided to, well, they've been working on boats in the background and for the high seas update, and they decided they want to release a small portion of it in the next update, Fun with Objects Part 2. So you will get a small amount of boat building functionality in this next update, which we will showcase here in a bit. After our news segment, immediately after, we're going to have our friend Dagg, who is in chat right now, up on the stream for a interview. Dagg is one of our longtime moderators. He's been a moderator in the community longer than I've been a member of the community, longer than I've been the community manager. I know he was around in like the beta and the Kickstarter days, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be very, very cool to get to know Dagg and get to hear his insight. You don't want to do it? I know the pressure's on, right? So... But Dagg will be joining us after our news segment for a little bit. So if you have any questions for Dagg, you want to get to know him or know his experience with tabletop gaming, map making, DMing, etc., or even ask him questions about his experience as our moderator, feel free to start dropping those questions in chat now. That way, our mod team will start collecting them and putting them in a list so we can address them in the order they were received during that segment. Okay? Make sure you preface your questions with the word question followed by the actual question. That way the mods can snipe it out of chat, copy paste it, send it to me. Hey Thomas, how you doing? So, after that segment, we will move on to our damn workshop segment, which I will be showcasing maps throughout the actually, you know what, afterwards we'll do a Q&A segment. Sorry, my bad. Small Q&A segment. So if you have any questions related to Dungeon Alchemist that aren't about Dagg, you know, you have supporting queries, need guidance with your map making, or maybe you're struggling with exports, maybe you're new to our community and have a ton of questions, you lucked out. The Q&A segment is when you would be dropping those segments because I can provide real-time assistance and show you on the stream. Okay, so if you have any questions related to support or guidance in your map making, try and save them for that segment. Okay, let's see here. After that, we will be doing a damn workshop segment. Well, I'll be showcasing various maps and 3D models from the Steam Workshop. And then after that, we'll probably be wrapping up the stream. I don't think there will be a long enough, there'll be enough time to do a feature showcase. But you know, you never know. We'll see. Some very, very, let's just say if there's some people in our stream who are paying close attention might notice some things. Oh no, Francis. Oh no, Highland Lass. That's a bummer. Well, at least you can hear through the speakers and make everyone else privy to your obsession with map making. Thomas, that type of question would probably be directed towards me during our Q&A segment, which is just, you know, support and questions related to Dungeon Alchemist development. When Dagg is on the stream, that would be, you know, as he's a moderator, you know, I don't think he would know the answer to that question more than I would. And also questions related to him would be, you know, about his experience and map making, being a dungeon master, any TTRPGs he plays, his hobbies, his, you know, whatever, that kind of stuff, getting to know him. Now, no worries. Save that question for a little bit later in the stream. Oh, by the way, I just noticed, everyone, we hit 3,100 followers. It's a very good question, and I do want to address it, but I want to give it the time it deserves and not just skim over it. So that said, we did hit 3,100 followers on Twitch, so thank you, everyone. Is this part of the D&D universe? That's actually a really good question. So this is a map making tool that allows you to build maps set in fantasy settings like D&D. So if you play D&D, right, you can make a map in Dungeon Alchemist and then use that map for gameplay in D&D. So you can either export the map for print or for a virtual tabletop like Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Foundry, which are virtual play spaces that allow you to play online, etc. Anyway, that's true. We did get another, well, actually, we got some offline followers, it looks like. Several of them. I'm looking at this right now. We're going to have to add some cheese to the cheese map. But let's move on with our itinerary. Actually, let's go right into our news segment is what we'll do. So let me open up these teasers and we'll discuss that so we can bring our friend up on sooner than later. So in the last week or so, Wim, our lead design and the creator of Dungeon Alchemist, he has been sharing some ship-based teasers, which I wish I could share more, but the build I have for Dungeon Alchemist right now is weird for building ships. It's really broken, so I can't really do much with it. But yeah. You essentially will have a limited ship builder that allows you to build modular ships that you can snap together various pieces. These pieces, some of them have animated aspects, and all of them you can remove like their tops to see inside. So essentially, they can still be exported in a traditional top-down if you choose. So the cheese map is a new map we've started on stream. Every time we get a follow, we're going to add a cheese to the map. It's a new thing we only started like a stream ago. So it doesn't have much on it. But every time we get a follow or a subscribe on any of our platforms, we will add another cheese. One moment, I've got another clip to share. Okay, never mind. But yes, if you have any questions for Dagg, our moderator, longtime moderator, community member, Dungeon Alchemist fanboy, and lover of SpaghettiOs, be sure to drop those questions in chat, preface them with the word question, and then our mod team will gather them together so you can so your question can be addressed in the order it was received during those segments. You had SpaghettiOs for lunch? How did I know? Dagg also is prolific banhammer wielder. So, yeah, unfortunately, Dagg will not be able to have his camera today. We had some trouble getting it to connect. I think it was just something weird with Streamlabs, internet, something. We couldn't get it to work no matter how hard we tried, even after a reset. So you can build it in any biome. It's just an object set. It's not a room type. It's just objects. And it's going to be a modular object type, I believe, where... like right now, you scroll through them, but I would like to see it as a modular object where you can keep bumping out stuff. They do have some showing up here. Kind of hard to see. Here, let me pause it for a moment. You see this right here? These are modular object bump outs. Wim's adding them by hand in this video, but he could be clicking this, but it's probably not configured as of right now. Did you see the teaser a few weeks ago about object grouping? Volkahar? Kind of goes hand in hand with this. One moment. Let me see if I can find it. I'll show it to you because it's very topical here. So our lead dev, Carl, before he took some time off, he's currently on a break. He released a teaser. This was just a couple months ago. He released this teaser. And it is essentially a new feature that allows you to select multiple objects and group them and copy and paste those objects. So you can select massive groups of objects and copy and paste that. How this can work is very, 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 very cool because you could essentially build out a room of a certain style or shape and then save the interior design as a prefab. And then you'll be able to save these prefabs, or what we call sets, in Dungeon Alchemist, as well as share them on the Steam Workshop. So if you build out a ship with that modular object ship designer, you can grab the entire group of objects, copy or link them all together and move them as a singular object. Alternatively, you can copy and paste that object somewhere else on the map or save that grouping of objects to put on another map. Meaning if you spend a bunch of time putting a bunch of objects together to design a ship or a long rest scene or a moving camp or a wandering army or any number of things, you can, or the way you design and fill homes really quickly, just so that, you home fill and have some basic design in almost everything you lay out. You could have prefab designs saved that you can either keep for yourself private or share. Yes, you're essentially making an asset out of any assets you have in your collection. That would include workshop assets. That's a feature that Carl's working on. Dungeon Alchemist Carl is being able to save the grouping of assets on the workshop, but he's shown me image teasers of it. So yes, it is possible. To a degree. They're because they're objects, you can, you know, kind of go up and down, but I don't really think there'll be much more than a single or maybe a double floor. There is some compartmental designs where you can kind of stack up on one side and have like the captain's quarters and stuff. More than anything, you can add length to them. Verticality, I'm not 100% certain on because my build doesn't allow for it. But most objects allow you some freedom in that, you know, allowing you to kind of stack them on top of each other if you disable collisions, or more freedom to kind of build them out custom. I'm assuming the snapping will have a sort of limited set, but keep in mind this will change over time. This is just the very first iteration of a ship builder, meaning when we roll out High Seas, an update dedicated to ships of all kinds, i.e. air, water, astral, right? Hey, Anani, how you doing, bud? Then yes, we'll be moving on to that. Now, I know we had a lot of questions about ships. We really need to get on to our interview with Dagg. I'm going to leave this map on as kind of a backdrop while we bring him on. Anani, how have you been? How's life? Congratulations again on your damn challenge win, and I hope you put your gift card to good use. Thank you for that raid. What were you streaming today? Chim, I don't know what you're talking about. I'll neither confirm nor deny. Uma, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Hollow Knight, nice, very cool. Oh, you have face tracking now. Interesting. So it's more of an AR tuber model now, huh? Or is that still part of VTuber? I just think if once you add face tracking, isn't it technically augmented reality? Map making for what? Primarily Dungeons and Dragons, but people use Dungeon Alchemist to make maps for Pathfinder, or really any maps they might need for a TTRPG setting that is fantasy based. Also leaning into a little bit of like steampunk, Western, and even like Victorian. It can do pretty well. And thank you to the addition of Steam Workshop, meaning the ability to share maps, but also 3D models and importing custom models. Our community now makes maps that are sci-fi, cyberpunk, modern, post-apocalyptic, all across the board. There's tons of variation. But I hope you're well, Anani, and I'm glad you're here. Okay. Stand by. We're going to open the cheese map, and then we're going to bring up our friend Dagg, okay? Stand by. He's been waiting long enough. Let me also see how many follows we've gotten before this. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 offline follows. We're going to add 7 cheese wheels to this map as thank yous and shout outs to those people who followed us. And while we're doing that, we're going to bring up Dagg so he can comment on my cheese building skills while we sound check him and get him all fixed up. Stand by. Dagg, can you hear me?
Yep, I'm here.
Cool. One moment. Can you all hear Dagg? Testing really quick. Dagg, say something.
Testing 1, 2, 3. I do like cheese.
I'm gonna just move his volume up a little bit to my notated marker for it. Say something again, Dagg.
Something again.
That should be a bit better. Cool. So Dagg, unfortunately, we couldn't get his camera to work today, so that won't be the case. And of course, Dagg is sarcastic as ever, pleasant as ever. So
it depends who I'm talking to, Matt.
Well, when it's me, just always so pleasant. Anyway, let's start adding cheese. So we got 7 here, and let's see if I can. Okay, we'll do a smiley face at Belle's suggestion. So we need 7 wheels of cheese. So we're gonna just keep adding those. Everyone, you can hear Dagg pretty well at this point. Just want to confirm. So there's 4. Let's stack this one up. 5, 6, 7. So now we're up to a smiley face. Unless, of course, we get other subs or follows. Music's a bit loud. Yeah, I forgot to turn off the music. Stand by. That is a great suggestion there. I usually mute it when the guest is on. I forgot because it's really quiet in my ear at the moment. Okay, so we got no music. You should be able to hear Dagg, and we've added our 7 cheese wheels for the day. Let me save this really quickly, and then we're going to open up another map. Let's open up this spider demon web lair while we start chatting with our friend. Hey, Moore, glad you're here. There is some discussion about mirroring. It's something we're actively working on, but I don't think it'll work quite like that. A handful of objects will offer a mirrored version. So like some asymmetrical staircases, window frames, doors, etc. It's not as straightforward to mirror an object as it sounds in Unity, in the way we've designed Dungeon Alchemist. So in order to do it, more likely than not, we'd have to just go through and make a mirrored version of every object, which doubles our object set. And if you add it up, that's a lot. Many objects don't need to be mirrored, only some critical ones. But stairs, doors, and like some furniture and like windows, etc. Certain things like that will likely get a mirrored version. If y'all can think of anything else that might need a mirroring, like a mirrored version of an object, let me know. But unfortunately, I doubt it would be like, hey, you design half of a structure and then it automatically generates the other half. That's like something I don't think we'll be doing. Understandable. Because we allow you to turn the grid on while you're building, that's kind of the reason we do that, is so it's easier to build asymmetrical maps. But I could understand, wanting something that automatically duplicates it, though I could see it being a little awkward building only a left half or a right half of a map, you know what I mean? Instead of just building it from the center outward. But that's just a personal preference thing, I'd imagine. Okay, so we've got Dagg on cam today, or on our interview today, and no camera, I'm afraid. Dagg is a longtime moderator of our community. He is, I believe, based in the West Coast area, I believe California. Dagg right. Is a longtime game master and a big fan of Dungeon Alchemist, has been in the community, like I said, longer than myself. He was actually one of the first people I interacted with in the community when I joined the Discord years and years ago. Thinking back on it now, Dagg is one of our more active mods. He's constantly providing support in both our Discord, but also on Steam, in our forums there. And he's always willing to provide assistance, answer questions, and guidance. In addition to this, some of the fun things that Dagg's done in the past, he ran, I don't know if you're still running it, or at least you used to run a sort of impromptu kind of text-based game for D&D in our Discord server. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I started it there. It was an experiment. So I said, hey, I wonder if anybody would be interested. And actually, a lot of people ended up being interested. So I just ran it there because I thought it would be interesting to show people how, Dungeon Alchemist maps work, and how you can quickly draw them. And I was going to so I thought people could follow along our posts, and then there'd be a map, and then they follow along on the posts, and there'd be a map. And it turned out to be a lot more involved than I expected it to be, and we took it off of Discord because I didn't want to clog the channels with it. But it was a heck of a lot of fun. I've been sort of toying with doing it again, but I'm not sure.
I've several times tried to bring a one shot or a game to the stream, like an ongoing D&D game or something. And it's something that the devs have been wanting to hold off on for now at least. But doing that in the Discord, it seems so interesting. I would at least read up on what was going on. I didn't have time to participate, but I would kind of, casually follow along with the capers. And doing a text-based adventure is certainly a fun way to play it for sure. I'd never even considered it. So kudos to you for trying that. Quick question for you, Dagg.
Yeah, did it for over a year.
Yeah, you did for quite a while. I honestly wasn't even sure if it was going anymore because I hadn't paid attention to it for a while. But that's awesome that, at least the experiment went at least moderately well. And
yes, it worked.
Now moving on, how long have you been playing tabletop games?
Oh, man. I'm going to say I started at about 14. So
and you're about 400 now?
Yeah, very funny.
Older?
So
4,000.
I heard about
I'm just kidding.
First when I was, let's see. I'm going to say, let's see, 64, 74. About 1979, something like that, is when I first did it. I told people online that I started before Dungeons and Dragons had version numbers, because it was just like the first one. And then Advanced D&D came out and played that for years and years. And I actually never.
It was just Dungeons back then. They didn't have any dragons.
Yeah, there were no dragons yet. And we had it was just Advanced D&D that we played mostly. And then I stopped playing for years and years. We did other board games and stuff. And then during the pandemic, my cousin was asking about it, and I said, I haven't done it in so long, I don't even know if it's still around. But oh my gosh, it's still around. It was version 5 when I started playing again. And then I said, I wonder if there's a way to play it electronically nowadays. Oh, and that introduced me to VTTs, and then all the map making systems. And then it just sort of snowballed from there. But I will say I've stuck with D&D. I played a game called Gamma World back in the day too, probably around the 70s, early 80s. I liked that.
Tell us more about that.
Well, it was just a friend's house, and it was just 3 of us. So 1 DM and 2 of us, because we were experimenting with the system ourselves to see if we even liked it before we introduced it to anybody else. And it was a lot of fun, very different, but the same kind of role-playing thing. I remember I had irradiated eyes, which I thought was one of the coolest things ever. I could do, what's the X-Men dude that has to wear special goggles, or he blasts things?
Cyclops?
There we go. Cyclops. Yeah, it was.
I could have gotten you. I could have said anyone. You would have believed me.
Yep, I would have. You could have said Spaghetti-O Man, and I went, wow, that's sure. So yeah, it was great fun. I enjoyed it. I've tried a couple new ones. Let's see. I tried Draw Steel. I like that.
So what is Gamma World exactly?
Oh, it's like D&D, but it's set in sort of a dystopian, uh, radioactive kind of a thing. So you get special powers. Um, but dude, I have to say, it was a long time ago, and I only played a few sessions, so I can't get too far into it because I just don't remember anymore.
Oh, no worries. I just curious.
Yeah,
So mostly you played D&D though.
but yeah, mostly D&D, and I stuck with D&D because that's what I know. Old dog, new tricks.
It's crazy. So you said since basically the late 70s you've been playing tabletop
Yes,
games.
yes. Oh well, and board games too, not just TTRPGs. It's I love games in general. I love card games and board games, and actually that's how I found Dungeon Alchemist because I've been wanting to make a game, and I can't draw, but I wanted the prototype to look cool, and I never really planned on having it published or anything. So I thought, well, let's make it look as good as it can, and I was hunting around for map making programs to help me make the graphics I needed, at least for the background. Maybe I could, put my own grid on it or something. And then I found Dungeon Alchemist, and I just went, "Wow, this is amazing." It's the only Kickstarter I've ever done. I've heard from other people that they've done a bunch of them, and they don't always turn out that great. So I'm glad I got lucky.
It's funny thinking back about Kickstarter. A lot of Kickstarters have failed over the years, right? And I do think we often hear about the negative press more than the positive, though. But Dungeon Alchemist is definitely a success story when it comes to Kickstarter. Um, like total funding in under, several hours. And it was crazy, way beyond their wildest expectations for goals hit.
Oh
Every
yeah,
single
the dev.
stretch goal laid forward was hit in under 24 hours.
Yes,
Um,
and the thing that's amazing too is that how they haven't just delivered though. It's above and beyond. Every single update isn't just what they've described, right? It's beyond
extra.
what I was expecting. Plus a zillion new assets, plus so many cool little new animation gizmos to look at and play with, and it's been just a fantastic experience.
I'm thinking, like random Ladybird in chat just said, I backed over 40 and only one is partly failed. Guess I pick well. Honestly, I do think that we often just hear more about the ones that fail, like the negative press related to Kickstarter than the positive. So, but there are, definitely some that I worry about. But it seems like a lot of them in the like tabletop gaming space tend to do moderately well. Anyway, yeah, Bella Muerta says, or Belle Muerta says that she still plays it. So it's like she's the community manager for Fantasy Grounds, so she knows like a lot of different systems and whatnot. I believe she plays quite a few different ones. Um, anyway, Dag, we've been getting some questions from chat. Atlam, can you forward them to me if you haven't already? And then, oh, you have. Never mind. And then as new ones come in, please just keep updating the list like you always do. Let's get started with these. We'll ask a few questions, and then I'll ask you a few, and we'll kind of go back and forth here. So Atlam asks, what drew you to the DA project, which you've kind of partially answered this already in your past, in your history, wanting to get back into D&D. I imagine this is mostly covered.
Yeah, that's yeah. Just to reiterate just a little bit, mainly I found it by accident. As I was saying, I was looking for programs that could help me with map making so that I could make my game that I wanted to make, and then I kind of just threw that to the wayside a little bit because I had gotten back into DMing for D&D and using Dungeon Alchemist maps to do all my mapping for it. So, but it was actually kind of an accident.
I actually didn't discover Dungeon Alchemist myself. A friend recommended it to me, so I get it. like I, during the pandemic, was kind of getting a little stir crazy, and to just keep myself busy, I'd like use flight simulators to fly all over and explore the world, or like I started writing like a supplement for D&D, and like my friend was like, "Hey, you should start making maps for your supplement idea." And I was like, "Cool. Well, I'll start drawing some up." He's like, "Hey, here, check out this tool. It just came out." And it was like literally the month that Dungeon Alchemist dropped on Steam, and he gifted me a copy. And I honestly, probably one of the best gifts ever been given, hands down. But like, uh, it was very fun. I spent probably 20 hours in the first 2 or 3 days, just enamored by the project, spending tons of time trying to build certain things, and I get a little hung up, and I go into the Discord, ask a few questions, um, and then I started streaming it, and it was just so fun to just build out maps and environments, even if you had no purpose or intention of playing on them. So I totally understand like the desire to just have a tool that can help you exert your creative desires, and like um, come up with allow you to take the what's in your head and put it into a space that's visualized so others can see it. Because like yourself, I'm awful at drawing. I like can only do like stick figures, and if I'm doing a map, I wouldn't even recognize it. I feel bad if I have to hand draw a map for someone and give it to them for directions, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I love this tool for that reason. It allows me to. It's a big crutch for my artistic lacking, if you will. Um, and I do think a few people in our community lean on Dungeon Alchemist for that reason. Is it allows them to get their ideas out into a visual space where others can enjoy it, instead of relying on finding a map online, or using theater of the mind and describing every little bit of it, or commissioning someone to make a map, or buying a map pack and hoping something in there works. I think sourcing maps nowadays has become almost a job in itself for DMs nowadays. So at the moment, are you actively playing or DMing, Dag?
No, no, I'm not doing that right now. I'm doing other things, so I just haven't had the time to get another group together.
You're in between games. It happens to us all.
I'm in between games. That's right.
Honestly, it's good idea to take a break once in a while, and like just not really have to stress over either session prep if you're a DM, because it's like a big commitment being a DM, as we all know. And you can burn out on it pretty quickly if you're not careful. In addition to that, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
I was
no.
going to say, regarding
This is your interview.
That's why the pen and paper, rather. No, that's incorrect. The play by post that I did on our Discord, it can help you if you've got an itch to be a DM again. It can be a great alternate to actual live sessions, because it'll give you time to respond. It'll give you time to put out new content, because people just check it as they're available. I would say the only inconvenience to it was battles. Battles, if you're going to do it, one of my experiences was that I had set up a pretty big battle, and it just took too long. And I know the guys got bored, and I got bored running it and stuff. So if you're going to do it, make your battles relatively quick, and don't. What I thought I would do is I thought I'd send a whole bunch of little creatures at them just to see how that worked. Yeah, don't do that. It didn't work well.
Oh my goodness. I've played in a campaign that was like a West Marches campaign, and they had offline like downtime and RP where you could like communicate with each other at the guild hall, or talk to party members, or go do shopping or crafting or whatever. So you could do some downtime during that, which was pretty fun. I could see those activities being a lot more straightforward in that sense than combat, or any of your RP or travel, or for the most part, almost all play except for combat would be better text based, or I mean, wouldn't be bad text based. It would be nice to have that little break in between where you can kind of think. Often playing online, I hate when I'm the person people are waiting on, which often is the case because as a wizard, I have way too many friggin' spells to sort through. And the person before me made a play that changed my mind on what I was going to do or completely circumvented my plan. You know, so it's like, God, I feel bad holding up the game. So it is kind of nice to have everything sort of predetermined. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it slows things down a little bit and gives you a chance, gives you a little bit of breathing room. I would encourage people to try it if they want to do that, but and I can give some more tips, later. I don't know if we want to do that now, but
If people
um,
ask about it, bring it up. We can discuss it.
okay,
If anyone
sure,
has any interest in how to run a text-based game, let us know in chat, and we could discuss
okay.
it further. I mean, if you would like to, share any tips right now while we're on it, we might as well. It might spur more questions. Um,
Um,
Go
yeah, I
ahead.
used above VTT to run the actual battles and those were more or less live. But that's all I use the VTT for, is just to give a quick and easy view of the map and a view of the battle as it was happening. Um, and we were generally able to get all the participants online at the same time for that. Um, anyway, I'll think of more things as people ask questions about them. But
Cool.
that's my main thing. Do not make the battles too long. Do not make too many enemies that have to be killed or fought. One thing too, though, is don't forget that your creatures are not just cannon fodder. They do think. So I used to be of the opinion that every single goblin I would throw at them had to be killed. No, they don't. They can run away. They're like, I can see what's happening to my friends. I don't want to stick around. I'm going to leave.
I often, like, when I was DMing, I'd set like a sort of like temperament or like for like different mobs based on the situation, right? So, like, if one of their friends dies and there's a whole mob of them, they might have a mob mentality and get angry, right? So they might be
Yes.
vengeful. But if you start turning the tide and a bunch of them are dying and then their numbers are dwindling, they might think, oh, shoot, we need to regroup and fall back. May not be a full retreat, but as their numbers dwindle more, they may have some cowards in the group that'll run, right? Or the whole
Yes.
group's like synergy may fall apart. Um, that's really dependent on how you may visualize this particular monster or group's mentality. They may be mercenaries who are hired men who don't want to die, so like they're like, hey man, I just work here. They could be cultists who will fight to the death because they've sworn themselves to this entity or religion or whatever. So it really just depends on the type of combat, but it is nice to have like a temperament die, if you will, with several statuses tied to it. So you can roll and adjust based on certain parameters, or at least adjust like a scale based on certain parameters. Okay, so we got another question here from Anani. How much do you enjoy moderating for DA? Looks at the precious hammer in parentheses.
I enjoy it very much. In fact, I have a little bit of FOMO if I'm not near a computer and I can check to see what's going on, because I enjoy it so much. Um,
If he's
and
not quick
yes,
on the ban trigger, he
I
gets a
am.
little huffy over it.
I do truly enjoy banning bad actors. I find that incredibly satisfying. It's like killing a mosquito that's been buzzing in your ear for a while, and then you finally get him. Oh, I like doing it.
You know, y- you might
And I
like this
enjoy
thing
the
I saw
interaction
the other
with
day
everybody
related
too.
to mosquitoes. Go ahead. Sorry, what?
Just sorry, I enjoy interacting with everybody too. It's a lot of fun. It's a very, very good group.
We do have a
Um,
wholesome community, very low drama.
yeah, there isn't a heck of a. I mean, you know, and I think the rest of the mods also do a great job of trying to keep things, you know, both family oriented and getting rid of all those bots and stuff, I know that you guys don't realize in the background how many bad actors we get rid of. Mac and Atlam, they'll sweep through and get rid of 20 at a time.
Yeah, I purge bots from our Discord constantly because we've been getting an uptick in them lately. Just kind of a note to our community. If you're in our Discord and people are DMing you that you don't recognize, first off, take a look at your personal DM settings. You can set them to friends only or just decline DMs from anyone you don't know in general. I usually just have friend requests on and DMs off, they have to send a DM request, i.e. I can filter them if I need to, or Discord will mark them as spam. But the thing is, people will join our server because it's public and they have bots they'll send into the server, and these bots will essentially message people in our Discord server. And before Discord flags them as spam, they'll likely have messaged dozens, if not more people, and just annoyed them, asked them to check out their game or their art or for a commission or any number of things, right? So I have spent a significant amount of time purging out the various accounts that Discord says is spam or quarantined or a problem for various reasons, and also other ones that look highly suspicious, like someone joining our server 45 seconds after they created their Discord account is very suspicious. Like, there's a few things we look for and know to look for. We're also taking extra steps right now to help prevent spam because it's become such a problem. We just added a new channel to the Discord where you can actually report spam. So if anyone is DMing you and you suspect that it's a spam or a scam account, let them send anything they want your way and message you as much as they want. Collect that as evidence, get their username, and submit a ticket in this new channel in our Discord where you share their username and any information. Once you've created a ticket, it'll ping myself or a moderator, and we can share more proof. It creates a private thread that only myself and the staff and mods can see. So not only is your ticket private and, preventing any kind of harassment or retaliation, it allows us to share proper evidence, such as screenshots of any potential scams or spam, and get more information from you. Oh, that one's so common. The Steam reporting one is so annoying. One way to prevent it is just make sure you have two-factor on almost everything, right? Two-factor authentication on your Discord, two-factor on your Xbox, your Steam, everything you can. It gives you an extra layer of protection. Also, a lot of companies are pushing for PIN codes, which I feel like is less secure than a password, but whatever. So these things are ideal. Getting an authenticator app, I use the Microsoft Authenticator app, and it essentially creates a new PIN code every 30 seconds. So when I go to log into a site or making a change on my account, they'll ask for that PIN code usually, and it prevents anyone from logging in if they happen to have my login and password. They need that PIN code as well, which is a revolving door. Anyway, moving on from that, Dagg, you have been so valiant in your efforts to protect our community. I just want to say thank you for that. Sure. And also, it makes me laugh whenever, yourself, in the past, there would be like, Seisu or, Vecna is really quick on his trigger finger for banning spam. And you would always be like, oh, I missed it. What was it? I just love that you're eager and ready to protect the server always. You know what I mean? So thank you for that. Yeah, salutes to Dagg. Because he's like that image of a person like holding up their arms and getting all the arrows in their back, the soldier protecting someone. Anyway. Yeah, two-factor is not 100% secure, but it's much better than just a password, Changing your passwords often, good idea. Very good idea. Make sure when you set up two-factor on your accounts, when they give you a one-time PIN, that one-time PIN, make sure you have that saved somewhere offline, preferably like a physical document or like a flash drive that it's only there, like in a safe. So you have those pins documented so you can get back into your accounts if things go awry. Anyway, moving on from that and Discord related security and the efforts we're taking, we're just moving, doing other discussions in the background on how we can make our Discord server more secure. Besides reporting from our community, including bot traps, improving our rules and updating them. So much more clarification around spam and, scam stuff and DMs and whatnot. And potentially just improving our Discord security overall. So these things will be happening shortly. One of them I'm considering is taking the server to private, which means people can't just join from a public face. They need to be invited or given a link, which will decrease spam significantly and new bot accounts significantly. And once we weed out the current ones, it should help prevent them in the future. Anyway, that said, these are all discussions, things we're working out behind the scenes and hoping we can make the server a safer space for all, because at the end of the day, that's what we want it to be. Yeah, it's just we've had it public for forever. I'm pretty sure it's been public as long as I've been the community manager. So it's kind of it's a bummer that we have to do this, but it will protect our existing community more than anything, and that's important to me. And people can still join through invite links, so it's not the end of the world. But it's something I want to discuss with the devs at length before we pull the trigger on it. Anyway, next question here. From Atlam. You've been with DA since the early days. What are your thoughts about the way it's changed since then? What are your expectations for the future? That's a good question. Good question.
Wow. So back in the day, let me tell you, the Discord existed before DA was even released on Steam Early Access. So the devs set up the Discord, and before DA was released, we we actually, did a lot of chatting and stuff. And I know some people have seen this, but we created a tools list that a list of tools and stuff that we used before DA came out, right? And DA, Mac has said this a bunch of times, where DA is another tool in your toolbox, right? So there's a lot of other stuff that you can use to help make your worlds. And so we were saying, hey, what do you guys use? What are some other good places? And of course, Watabu is setting out there. Don John is one of the ones. I had never heard of either one of those. And those two tools are incredible for what they do. But anyway, one of our users actually stuck all these ideas from Discord and stuck them in a little website that he built. And so I've sent that link out a bunch of times, but if you guys want it, let me know and I'll send it out again, because it's a really great resource for a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff. So I'll try to, can I put links in will the Twitch thing let me put links in there? Is that
because you're a mod, you can actually share links. So
slick. Okay, let me see if I can find that then. And I'll bring that out.
While you're doing that, let me just remind everyone, Dagg will be with us for the next let's say 20 to 40 minutes. So if you have any other questions related to, Dagg's experience with Dungeon Alchemist as our community moderator, Discord moderator, and helper, or his experience with tabletop gaming, DMing, playing tabletop games, etc. Maybe you want to get to know him, outside of these things and get to know his hobbies and other things he enjoys. If you got questions, let us know. So please, by all means. I think because there's not a www in it, it didn't act as a full link, which is a bummer. But anyway, feel free to, drop your questions in chat, and then we will cover those over the next few minutes. Oh, it opened for you? Okay, cool. Good. No, it is a good link. You're right. Nope, it's good. It's active. It works. I was looking at the wrong chat and it wasn't showing a hyperlink, so my bad, brother. That was my bad. You are totally fine. So, let's see here. While we're waiting for other questions, I've got one for you. what was it like when the dinosaurs were alive?
Well,
I'm just kidding, Dagg. I am just kidding. Okay, so
I'm not that old.
Dagg, what do you think is the thing that our community members ask about the most? Like a support related inquiry question.
Oh my gosh. Can you export in 3D?
Oh, right.
That's a big one.
Dude, sometimes
one
I get asked like 5 times a stream, and having to explain it over and over again. I kind of want to just make a video or something that I can play on the stream when it comes up. You're probably wondering why you're watching this video. You asked about 3D export for Dungeon Alchemist. Anyway, I don't really want to make fun of people, but it does come up a lot, for real. And I feel bad because I know why they want it. I understand the reasoning, but it's just something like it's just something that's just not viable in the way Dungeon Alchemist was designed. As many of you know, Dungeon Alchemist was not designed with 3D export in mind. It was designed to export in a top-down image. In fact, video exports weren't even a consideration when they initially launched. It was just going to be like images only for a while. So it was always going to be a top-down or a slightly 3D perspective top-down, and that's it. So you get a little bit better look at your maps and can see the sides of buildings instead of this just flattened top-down perspective like we can here, right?
Yeah. That right there is exactly why I wanted this tool. That to me looks amazing, and I have no idea how to draw that or convey that in any way other than this tool. But yeah, it's changed. Well, back in the day, the only biome we had was dark parchment. You couldn't do anything else unless you did it in dark parchment. And then, an update came and we ended up with the different biomes. And then we ended up with all the different ways to paint, stuff. And then you could dig and all these new features that keep getting released. And many of them weren't even thought of until we started to get a large base of users. We're like, hey, how about this? Hey, how about this? And the devs are like, oh, that's a really great idea. In fact, we like that idea enough that we're going to stick it into the next update. So, they absolutely listen to suggestions. Now, some suggestions like, well, I see that you put these other things in there. How come you can't do 3D? And that we can't do because you'd have to rebuild the whole thing around that. And
honestly,
it's a niche request. So,
both is there really no 3D like virtual tabletop that you can import custom maps? Like Tailspire, you can't. You make your map there, right? Yeah. Maybe Tabletop Simulator you could, but the file would have to be so small in size that it would be so poor in detail, right?
Yeah.
The other services like what is that? RPG Stories or whatever, you can't bring in your map from another service. And then one of the only options out there would be something maybe like the module 3D Canvas for Foundry, which again is a third-party module, something we try not to build support around for any features. So at that point, it carves it out to a very small niche. And I know it's definitely going to be the future, but there's a lot of things that need to come together for that to happen. First off, computer hardware prices need to come down. Like, people can't reasonably build a machine that can support a full 3D virtual tabletop environment in real time on a reasonable internet connection. At computer prices are at an all-time high to build something that can run that. You're going to need a top-of-the-line machine to not only build maps but also run maps in that space, if it were supported. So it is a bummer, like, that Dungeon Alchemist doesn't offer it because you build in 3D. Why not offer a 3D export? It's because it wasn't built with that in mind, and so much of Dungeon Alchemist would have to be changed from the ground up. Dungeon Alchemist is essentially smoke and mirrors, right? So it is essentially what, like, wallpaper on a flat wall to make it look 3D. So you have very simple shapes, cubes and spheres and stuff wrapped with a wallpaper to make it look very intricate and detailed and textured. In fact, if you were to just download a Dungeon Alchemist map, most of it would be very simple shapes with no color at all in its current state, because we use what's called texture mapping to design all of our spaces. So it's not ideal for like 3D printing or that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, it's just not designed for it. I know I'm going on a tangent now, but yeah, man, this comes up a lot. So we might as well discuss it while we're here. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I'm actually in a dev build right now. And I'm in the new biome. So while you were talking about Dark Parchment being the first biome, I pulled up the new biome, which I've called Light Parchment, but it's going to be called Architectural Background. So this is completely contrasting to that, So by the time our new update launches, we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 biomes in total, which is crazy considering, like you said, we started with one.
Yeah, that's, and part of was it Atlam who asked that?
I believe so, yeah.
So he was wondering how I feel about where things are going, and anybody that's been here for really any part, it doesn't even matter when you purchase DA, because we've still got 4.5 stretch goals to go, and those will probably be spread out over the next few years, I would imagine, based on how fast things go, because it's a small team. But it's what you're going to get is just spectacular. I'm so excited for the different water-based ones. Tricks and traps. Can you imagine what fun, gruesome things they're going to plan for that? I'm very, very excited to see all of it. So and then they're not even going to stop after that. It's not like after the stretch goals are done, this isn't going to be developed anymore. They're going to they want to throw out some DLCs out there. They've talked about VTT light features, which we don't know what that means yet. But so many people just want to use their mapping directly from within DA that they're thinking they might try to at least accommodate parts of that. One thing you probably won't ever get when they do that, though, are the character sheet interactions. But you can do that, somewhere else.
That will likely be a separate tool, by the way, just to avoid feature creep.
Yeah, right. Oh, feature creep is a big thing. They want to try to stick as much as they can to the promises they made in the Kickstarter. So you're not going to see specific cultural themes. Like a lot of people wanted to see like some Asian themes with the buildings and stuff. And
to be honest, we got a decent amount of flack from the community after Fata Morgana with several objects and designs around cultural stuff. So I think the devs have opted to not really pursue it anymore. Though I think if we could approach it in a very professional and like respectful manner, where maybe we had a cultural advisor who could help us, so we not only have the correct pronunciations and spellings and items that represent that culture properly, that would be the way we go. But that would probably be far down the line, if anything. More than likely, the devs, I think, created the asset importer as a way to offer community members who wanted things like that, cultural assets or different aesthetics right now. It's essentially a Band-Aid that allows you to make any style map you want, as long as you're either willing to look through the workshop and source assets or import them yourself, whether they're created yourself or, sourced online. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is this is a fantasy map maker, so cultural assets may not really have a place here. So when we're going fantasy, it's kind of one of those things that we just try to avoid real life where we can, though we use it for inspiration. It's more than anything a launching point than it is an actual basis. You know what I mean? like we've been showing our ship designers, and we had some comments. Someone was like, "Hey, it'd be more accurate if it was like this," and showed a ship. We're like, it's not going for accuracy. It's more functionality than anything. Like we want to add some accuracy, but it's obvious. The way you build this and the way these things all fit together is more form than accuracy. So we try to give you the tools to make it easy while at the same time representing that object in a fantastical and whimsical manner, because that's how whim rolls, is quite literally whimsically. Okay, next question we've got here. Let's see. Random Ladybird asks, what is your favorite monsters?
My favorite monster it's from about the only module I ever purchased, and they're called Scorch Zombies. And what's fun is they're pretty low level, but what was great was, zombies aren't really all that scary. So my players went over and started beating the heck out of them, and they were killing them. The fun thing about them is that they explode. So they're all
oh no.
And that was a great surprise to them. They were really quite shocked when the zombies exploded and did a little bit of extra damage. And since they were new players and they weren't very high level yet, I even knocked a couple guys down and brought them to 0, and they had to roll some death saves. So that was exciting. And I think part of it was the situation we were in and the players I was playing with, but the reaction was so excellent that those are my favorite guys. I also like messing with swarms, so like rat swarms or wasp swarms or something, because man, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in a swarm of things that sting, but it's absolutely terrifying. And
Macaulay Culkin has.
Well, I'll tell you that. So when I was a kid, I was about 9. My dad's a chemistry professor, and we lived in South Africa for a year, and we were there playing in the backyard. There was a sandbox there, which was a great story in itself. But anyway, we're playing, and I hear this noise, and I look up, and it's a friggin' bee swarm. And I'm 9. I had heard about Africanized bees, and I'm in Africa. So they're going to be Africanized because I'm 9, and that's what's going to happen. So I'm going, bees. Do you remember in Wizard of Oz when you see the distance where the monkeys are flying in? And it's just terrifying because they're coming in and you see them. Well, that's what happened. It was all these freaking bees coming in, and I'm going, bees, run! And so my brother and I ran into the house, and the bees were like tapping and hitting the screens and stuff on the place. But I found out later that bees are not dangerous when they're swarming because they don't have a place to protect yet. So we probably would have been okay had we stayed there. And it happened twice.
Jeez.
It happened another time. We were cloud busting, where that one looks like an elephant, that one looks like a whatever. Well, we heard the bees, and it was too late for us to run anywhere, so we just sort of melted ourselves into the lawn and watched them fly over the top of us.
Well, that'd be terrifying.
But so yeah, swarms are fun to play with if you want to do a different.
That's not the advice of Dungeon Alchemist officially. Let's just say that on the stream. Anyway, but yeah, swarm monsters or like hive, like grouping, where you have like a group of rats or anything that attack you as a singular, like action on the like as a singular turn. They do so much damage in combat, and I'm terrified of getting near swarms when we encounter them in D&D. Because like they could one hit me. They're all a bunch of little guys that have but their HP is all stacked, and they all share their action, and they take the same turn. It's nuts. Oh, flying ants, I bet would be terrifying. Ugh. Lately, a few times in the last 10 years, we've had to deal with swarms of grasshoppers in Vegas. Has anyone ever had to deal with that?
No.
It's almost like a locust type thing, like biblical. DMs just like to roll handful of dice.
Yeah, it's players don't like it when you just start rolling. That's fun.
Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I just posted a great book you should get. It's called The Monsters Know What They're Doing. And you read through that and you'll go, I've been running these incorrectly. I've been running goblins wrong my whole life. I didn't. They jump in, they steal stuff. They've just been fodder for me. And that's such a great book. I highly recommend you get it.
I'm surprised no one's made comments about this massive skull I've put on the new like art biome. I've been sitting here rotating it. No one said a thing.
That's because they're talking to me and I'm fascinating.
I guess you are captivating, completely captivating. Yeah, I got the grouping.
Cool, though, I have to say, that is neat.
Can you see how you could decorate a room like this, save that grouping, right? Save it, and then that would be actually, there's a menu in here where you have sets, so if you save it, right? You can name it, and it shows up in a category you set. So it can be somewhere specific, and also it'll show up here. So you can save groupings locally, but also we'll give you the option to put them on the workshop. It's going to be dope.
That's
anyway,
cool.
The monster knows. All right. Next question. Traveler Chim says, back in the days of just parchment and first biomes, how long ago? I can't even imagine what changed before the last update. It'd be neat to find old build videos. You know, Chim, what you should do is go back. Here, let me find it. I've got a list of all our launch trailers since I've been the community manager. They're just like in order in a playlist. And that, I think, is the absolute best way to see like some changes. Like you can go back and see a few things, but the update trailers are something else. Huh, they used to be in an order. Well, yeah, go watch. Fun with objects should be up at the top here. Here we go. I don't know why it was doing that. Anyway. So they were out of order, but you can watch them from like the latest updates to the oldest and just see almost everything we've added over the years. Let me get this link really quick. Share. Copy. Does anyone else want it? I'll put it up in Twitch. Ye old Twitch. That goes to our trailer playlist. So that's like the last few years of trailer. Every time we launch an update, we do a trailer. So I was hired basically a week before we launched Abandoned Ruins. And my first major task on the team was to do the trailer because they were so backed up with testing and dealing with stuff like getting ready for launching this update that basically I was given like a crazy big task my first week. I felt like I was like, oh man, if I fail on this, I'm going to lose this job. So I took a bunch of like shots and I got a bunch of video from Wim and I spent a ton of time editing it, getting it all done. So, yeah, I've also learned a lot about making our trailers over the last couple of years and like how to make them more engaging and trying to keep them under a certain time limit. But anyway, I shared the link, did I not? Oh, you're putting it in YouTube? Gotcha. Anyway, so Dagg, next question here. While we're coming over that, well, I want to hear your answers though. What do you think is like the craziest thing that's happened in Dungeon Alchemist since we launched publicly on Steam?
Wow. Okay. You mean like in features or just anything crazy? Because
Features, quality
like
of life improvement, a singular update.
okay,
What do you think is the most
one of the
impressive
most
thing?
amazing was being able to lift an asset up in the air, even though we couldn't rotate it on every single axis. Just being able to pull it up into the air was huge, because then we could actually, even though we had to do it by hand, we could start making more than one floor. And that even now, even with all the amazing things that have come out since then, that still sticks out in my mind as one of the most amazing things. Another one is the curved and diagonal rooms, because Carl will say something like, "Well, that's just not possible," and then the next day he'll go, "Okay, I figured out how to do it."
He does
That's what
that a
Grant
lot.
told me. And so,
It's infuriating. No, it's
the
awesome.
guy, he's a freaking genius, and it's great to. I'm so. It's just amazing, and I don't even work directly with them like you guys do, but you can see the results, right? This feature that you have here, somebody, it might have been Vecna, who wanted a blueprint version, a blueprint module. This would be great for that. Look at all the ink that's going to save. Plus, it's just a cool art style. But I mean, you know, do you know if these? I don't think they will be. Will dang. I was hoping there would be a way to, like, if I built something and then I just wanted a blueprint version of it, can you change that and have it be the blueprint
No,
version?
there's only
I don't
one
think so.
hand-drawn room and a handful of
Yeah,
hand-drawn
that's what
objects.
I thought.
You
It's
can't
still a
change any
really,
room into a hand-drawn room. So no.
yeah, but still, the fact that we can save things as objects, right? Does it save it as the hand drawn object, or does it save it as? Yeah, I'll bet it does, right? It has to save it that way.
It just saves it. Objects and hand-drawn objects, they're all within the same thing. So
Okay.
you mean you're talking about the sets?
Yeah,
Sets? Yeah. Any
stay the
object in the object menu can be compounded into a set, including downloaded objects. So
okay.
you can make a grouping of objects. You could just take a blank map like this and put a whole bunch of objects together and save it as a set, and then put it on another map.
Neat.
So far, Chim.
I don't know if I answered that question very well though. What was the? Can you?
Well, you said
What
a
was the
few
craziest
things
thing?
like, yeah, the craziest
Yeah,
thing that they've
yeah.
added.
The craziest thing was that, and then the other crazy thing is just that after every update, we get flooded. It's not really all that crazy. It's just we get flooded with questions and stuff, and you know, it's so new that sometimes it's hard to troubleshoot things because we're still messing with it ourselves.
That's why the last couple updates we've been trying to give the mods earlier access so y'all can get familiar with it. But yeah, I understand. It's even a lot for me to know. They don't even tell me everything. I just kind of figure it out as I play with it before the update goes live.
That's actually one of the things people have asked as well. That's pretty popular. Hey, are there any videos or things I can look at to help me figure out how to use this? And you know, that's why I'll say, unless you have something specific that you already know you want to make, just go to Donjon and have it make you a map and then convert it to DA. And that's a great way to learn the tool, because at least you've got a direction to go. And then if there's something that you're not familiar with or you need more help with, you can of course go out to the questions forum and ask there. You'll get people to help you. The other thing that
regarding videos, by the way, more teaser content related to Fun with Objects should be drip feeding soon. And tutorial videos, I've been scripting out a bunch of tutorial videos. As we get closer to Fun with Objects, I will be pushing out more and more of them. It's just some I'm waiting on until we do launch Fun with Objects, so they have the latest version of everything, and it's much easier for people to follow. I really hate putting out a video and then it's outdated like a few months later. But with the current update schedule for the updates that they're like a year apart because they're so complex, I likely will be pushing out more tutorial videos. And obviously people know they can always drop into the streams or the Discord to get guidance, whether it's, you know, in Discord, even in a Discord call, or, you know, through a support or question thread. Alternatively, here on stream, you know, when we're doing a Q&A segment, we'll drop everything to answer your questions, provide guidance. And Mapmaker Monday is kind of a free-for-all for support and questions. So if you can drop in on Monday's stream, it's the best day to get, hands-on guidance from myself, someone who has over 4,500 hours of map making in Dungeon Alchemist. Very experienced in building maps, have dived through hundreds of thousands of community maps, provided support for hundreds of thousands of community members. I definitely know a thing or two about Dungeon Alchemist and love providing assistance if you need it. Hey, Onyx Panther, hope you're well. Good to see you. Anyway,
what you just said goes hand in hand with another question we get fairly often, and I see it a lot on Steam, is localization, putting things in the different languages, and we can't do it yet. It just doesn't make sense because
so many changes still.
Yeah, there's so many changes. You don't want to do all that work translating things
multiple times.
Fonts, that kind of stuff to make it work. So we certainly want to do that. The devs have said they want to do that. Lots of people have volunteered to help do it, but we're just not ready there. Just not quite.
Honestly, the devs are interested in it, and we've already handpicked a few languages. It's just waiting for the right time. Waiting until most of Dungeon Alchemist is complete. That way, we kind of only have to do a singular pass and maybe an upkeep, here and there. Or like, does that make sense? Instead of, because we're such a small team, limited resources, manpower, assets, there's only so much we can do, and we got to do it efficiently.
Oh, I thought of a cool thing. One of the things we're wondering what some of the craziest stuff was. Some of the workarounds we had, you may not know about. So right now, if you turn off collisions, you can pretty much size an asset, almost infinitely big or almost infinitely small. I mean, within reason. We didn't used to have that option. So what you'd have to do is, let's say you wanted a large tomato for some reason. What you would do is you'd get a table and you'd stick the table, and then you'd put the tomato on the table. Then you would expand the table.
Well, you'd make the table as big as you could first. Then you'd put the item on the table.
And then you put the item on it, and the item would grow with the table. And if you did that several times, you could get something huge or something small. But most people wanted to make things larger.
Or actually, no, you'd make the table as small as you could. Then you'd put the pie on it. And then you'd oversize the table, because the table can get much larger.
Well, and you can grab it.
Yep, and you could repeat this process. People would do like a rug or a table. Those are the things that were most often repeated, because this was how people would upsize things. Before you could raise objects up and down on the Z-axis, when you disable collisions, which is going to be called advanced soon. Before you could do this, you basically had to hide object or put like a pillar under it. Or you'd put a abstract under it and make the abstract invisible with a transparent PNG.
Yes.
Our community figured out so many ways to circumvent the limitations in Dungeon Alchemist over the years that we quite literally came up with an acronym for it, a name for the madness. It's CRAM, Creative Asset Misuse. Yeah. So honestly, a lot of the innovation in our development has come from our community members showing us it's possible within the existing engine with a bug. Like, it's silly, but it's true. Our devs didn't want to be one-upped anymore by our community members showing them, yes, I can scale things up as far as I want using this silly workaround method. Please just unlock object scaling. So I think they were it kind of forced their hand a little bit. That was a feature they weren't really planning on adding at any point. So it's funny how many features have been added either due to, high amount of community pressure and feedback, or, a community member figured out a way to make it happen with a bug, because they don't want you using a bug to make it work. They want an official solution. You know what I mean? People building multi-level maps by hand with objects that they stack on top of each other. They didn't want that anymore. That's why they built multi-level and roofing. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly, that's part of it, but obviously the other is they want the community to be happy. They want these features to work in Dungeon Alchemist and it to be the only map maker you ever need at the end of the day.
Yep. And people had been wondering too, one of the other questions we get a lot is, you know, how do I make a world map or a more global map for like a large city? And we just had somebody, oh, what's his name? I'll have to try to find it.
In our Discord, someone shared a crazy city map. Yeah.
Yes. One of the most beautiful renditions of a town map. It looks like something that Watabu would draw or something with DA. It looks amazing. But the devs have talked, we've been throwing the term called World Alchemist around a little bit. And I don't have any idea if that's the one. Look at that. That's all DA, you guys. And it's only, I think he said it was 62 by 62.
So he's using forced perspective, where he's using objects from the workshop, tons of buildings from the workshop, and has different districts. You could see these are like kind of a slummier district here, different houses in different areas. You know what I mean? So essentially, this is a whole city crammed into this 62 by 62 map because they disabled object or collisions and scaled down houses to tiny size. Because it's like a doll city. It's like a replica city, a scale model, right? At the end of the day, if you just start making things smaller, you can fit a lot into a little space like this. There's a Faerun map that is like all of Faerun, right? The entire Sword Coast. It's nuts. On the workshop, yes. It's 250 by 250. You know what? I'll look for it really quick because it's an absolutely insane map. Though I will say it will take some time to load because of the size. So, and it could even crash my DA or my computer. Luckily, I've got two computers, one for DA, one for the stream, so it won't crash the stream. Yes, this is the entire Forgotten Realms build.
No way.
You know, a lot of people don't understand forced perspective, Chim. You would be surprised. Miniatures gamers understand, but making a miniature map within Dungeon Alchemist, the concept gets lost on people. So I do like to expand that concept whenever I can. Or expand upon that concept whenever I can. While we're waiting for this map to load, which is going to take forever, Random Ladybird asks, what's your favorite map so far?
One that I've built or one that I've seen? Because
let's go with both.
Because I can't keep track of all the incredible maps that I've seen. So many interesting things. I gotta say, my current favorite is the one that Mac just showed, because that blew me away. All the different miniatures, and I have to, one of the really neat things is if we can save these objects into groups, you would only have to do it once. How cool would that be to be able to just take that idea into other little areas to make other, maps that way?
Or you could make like a section of the city, like a slum, or just like the west part or the east part, and then copy all those houses in another place to another village, and then just it's going to save so much time. It's crazy. Yeah. The evolution of maps is going to be nuts after this update.
Yeah. My favorite map that I built was one. Mac, do you remember the Maptober, I think you tried to do for a while? It was like right around October, and for the whole month of October, we were you had a different.
We tried it a couple years, and it was okay. I probably would have kept it up if we'd had more participation, but it's also a lot to ask for people to make a map every day. And it's not asking someone to do it 30 days of the month. It's just, some people make a map some days, some people make a map other days, but we were also asking for like people to spend less than 10 minutes on them, so they weren't like super like tied into it, right?
And that's exactly why this is my favorite map, because it took me about 10 minutes, and it's on the workshop. It's like a haunted, I don't remember what I called it, haunted trail or haunted park or something like that. I was so pleased with how it turned out, and I stuck it out on there, thinking, wow, if even one person downloads this, I'm going to be excited. There's over 200 downloads for it. And the
Nice.
thing took me 10 minutes to do. So that's my favorite map that I built, is that haunted park thing. I'll see if I can find it. Because
So Chim just said that's one of the beauty things about DA. The color palette and the art detail looks like photos of miniatures, especially if you're really good at using the various photo modes that we have, the cinematic and the first person photo modes. They are like, if you can take advantage of those, you can make some dioramas out of Dungeon Alchemist that just look absolutely stunning. We got this map almost loaded. Okay, it's going to take a minute because this part, it's got all the assets, which was 400 megabytes of assets. Now loading the map takes a minute. Once it's loaded, we'll look up your favorite map. If you could think about the name of it for a minute, that would be great.
I'm finding it. It's called Ghostly Forest.
Cool. We'll look it up momentarily.
Okay. Oh, one of the other things that we loved is we were wondering how to get smoke, and I can't remember who thought of it, but people were taking geysers and then sticking them inside chimneys so that the smoke.
That was originally my idea.
That was your idea?
Yeah, I came up with that idea when I was building my dwarven map, or my upgraded dwarven mine, because we had geysers and I realized they could just emit smoke. So I started sharing that tip on the stream as a way to hide, smoke in places you needed it. The new way, though, the hip new way, is there's an asset that's literally just fire, and you can put it out anywhere, the fire, but then if you put out the asset in the UI, there's an option to disable the fire. And when you disable the fire, it just leaves smoke. So essentially, it can either be a pile of fire you add anywhere on the map, like an effect, or when you disable the fire, it becomes smoke. So instead of seeing a geyser down in your chimneys now, you'll just have smoke, which is nice. But it's a little bit harder to move because it's invisible at that point. By the way, Dungeon Alchemist, if you're ever loading a large map and it's taking forever and you're getting errors from Windows or Mac saying, hey, this might have crashed, do you want to exit? Just click wait, or just wait. More often than not, that's a fail-safe built into Windows and other OSs. If something's taking too long to load, it will automatically assume it's crashed, and it gives that error. Dungeon Alchemist is taking too long to load because this map is absolutely insanely massive. It's 5 times the size we recommend building and sharing maps. So keeping that in mind, it's a beast. Also, I've never loaded it on the dev build, which is nuts because, that's a thing in itself. We're going to load this up in the tracing layer so you could see it all.
No way. Oh my gosh.
There's quite a few tricks that Sack has figured out.
Yes.
Sack figured out the ice flow trick, that if you put an object on an ice flow, it removes snow from it. So you can remove snow from objects in the snow biome if you have snow weather enabled, one at a time, by putting them on an ice flow and then sinking it into the ground. So it's possible, but it's also kind of silly.
It's a little clunky, but at least it works. And
that's what most cram workarounds are. Sack figured out how to fix having straight hallways off of a circular room. He was one of the first community members to figure that out. He's come up with several methods for that. He's also, he's come up with so much stuff. He's one of our most prolific map makers and asset sharers. The guy never sleeps. I feel like he's making maps nonstop. But yeah, if you could see here, this is the Sword Coast of Faerun. And as you go across, you have different points of interest represented as a single house. There's roads, rivers. Tons of stuff like that.
How big is this, Mac?
250 by 250.
Oh, good grief!
So it's big in the way of DA, right? But considering how much area it covers, it's phenomenal. Like, that is thousands of square miles of world map, right? If you think about it.
Oh, those are the Great Peak Mountains. I know those.
So you might be able to recognize certain points of interest.
Yeah.
One thing I do notice, though, is they don't have their mountain caps up here as snow, which isn't this whole area like snow-capped, the world spine or whatever it's called, and like it's all giant territory. Anyway, but I think at the time we didn't have the rocks that you could change the colors. No, they have sandstone here, so they could have done it. They just didn't know. So pro tip, everyone, sandstone is unique. I don't know why this is the case, but out of all the rocks, the devs gave sandstone this very unique property where you can adjust the color and you can slide between all these different filters, right, to give it a different hue or color. But if you click black or white, it also offers those extreme edge use cases for color. And that right there is a, snow or ice cap option, especially if you start mixing them, a ton of them together, different shapes and sizes.
Wow.
That's also a great way to get around, like having like ice mountains or snow caps, etc., is using the sandstone and converting it white. Not something you would think of at a glance. It should be on our most common stone, not the sandstone. But anyway, moving on. I think they picked the sandstone because it's the most light color, which adds for the most hue shifting overall when you apply hue to it. So that's why. Anyway, World Spine is on a different map. Spine of the World. Okay, I could be confused. I thought up at the top of Faerun is the Spine of the World. Am I wrong? Like at the very north area where it's all snow and mountains? The World Spine of the World, whatever it's called. Maybe I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've looked at a whole Faerun map. Okay, we got another question from Atlam. What's the background story of your mop emoji and your in-game asset? A flower, I believe. Yep,
So the Gmop is it's just it used to be OMOP, which was the orange moniker of power, and that was just to show that the mods used to have orange names, and now it's Gmop because it's
gold.
They changed it to gold for the mobs. And I wanted something that just represented the mods, and so I found a mop and I stuck some eyes on him, and then I changed him to. It's just a thing that I thought would be interesting. I use him all the time because I like him so much, and my avatar came from my arch nemesis at work, who's actually a really good friend. But we didn't really have cubicles. We had sort of, what's the word for it? It's like a bullpen. Is that the right word? Where it's cubicles around a certain section, but then that section itself is open on the inside. And
it's like U-shaped desks or like T-shaped like desks. Yeah.
Yeah, he was right behind me. And so we would give each other a hard time. And the office pranks were amazing. And before you think we didn't get any work done, we had kind of a rule that you couldn't make your office prank. To set it up, it could only take, 60 seconds, maybe 120 seconds to do it. So there's the fun trick if you just put a piece of tape on the bottom of somebody's mouse, and then the mouse isn't working. And you wonder why your mouse isn't working. You put tape on it. Or you have a phone and you take a piece of tape where you stick the phone up to your ear, and you just double side it, and you stick it on there so that when they stick it to the ear, it sticks to their head, which I'm laughing about. I know it's immature, but it was really funny.
You know what? Honestly, I think the key to a long life is having an arch nemesis.
Oh my God.
Because spite is and revenge is a very powerful tool. Oh. I'm just joking, but Joey Emin asks, this looks like a huge map. Is it running okay? It is. My computer is a bit of a tank, and I have two computers running the stream, one just for Dungeon Alchemist, and then the other one just for the stream. So it takes a lot of the burden off of this machine, though I do see, you know, dips in performance, especially if I were to upgrade this to like from medium to high. I think I'm running on medium quality right now and 2560 by 1440 resolution. So if I upped it to high, my frame rate would just crash on this size of a map for sure. It is a very big map, like this is an extreme case for a map. We were just showing how it's possible to build like regional or world maps using Dungeon Alchemist, but it is, like we said, an extreme case. This is all of Faerun right here. Tape on the mouse is very evil. Putting their stapler in Jello, you know, Office.
Yeah, that's more work. That's more work than we ever did. But I used to, when he was on the phone, we had a whole bunch of paper cups.
Put nickels in his phone's receiver.
Oh, I would just throw cups and bounce them off of his head.
Cups, funny.
It made a great noise. He would do the same to me. It wasn't like it was, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Anyway, that guy actually was a graphic designer. He went to school for that, and he found, this is regarding my avatar. He found a picture of a homeless lady, and then stuck my face on her, and I liked it so much that that's my avatar.
All right, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not exactly like me. If we had the camera running, you'd be able to see the similarities.
You know, I have to admit, I don't think I've ever had a video conversation with you where I've seen your face. I've met a few of our mods face to face through voice video calls or whatever, but yourself, a couple other mods I haven't had video calls with. It's always a pleasure to meet someone, you know, like in a voice video call like that, and be able to like see the person you've kind of like put a face to in your mind for so long, and, you know, see how it like matches up, so to speak. So I'm going to leave this map up here. I think we're all out of questions, my friend. We have covered everything, all the questions that the community has dropped. I don't think I have any other questions for you. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss today while you're on the stream, before we send you on your way so you can enjoy the rest of your Saturday?
I don't think I have anything else. It was a pleasure talking to everybody. Thanks for
you know, man, it's my pleasure to have you on, honestly. And honestly, I appreciate you so much as a moderator, helper for our community. You've been so incredibly, you know, helpful and loyal and patient with our community over the years. I know that there's a few people out there that definitely can get the tempers like raised a little bit and the gears grinded, so to speak, when, you know, that some people come into our community and, you know, act a little crazy, or trolls or rude or spammy. So thank you for all you do in that regard, and thank you for your help on Steam. You've been an absolute, you know, super helpful resource over on Steam forums.
Steam is quite a bit different than our community.
It is different, for sure.
Yeah.
I find taking your time and just typing out everything in paragraphs and giving them long explanations usually goes the best, because we can't share images. And, you know, sometimes there's a video you can share with them, but Steam isn't conducive to that. You know what I mean?
No. And lots of times I'll throw a suggestion or two out there for them to try, but then I'll say, if you're amenable, just join us on Discord, because it's a lot easier to do troubleshooting there.
For sure.
And, then I'll just provide the link.
Oh, Steam forums can be Wild West sometimes, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That said, though, I mean, it's a big grouping of our community, so I like to make sure we have active support there. Dagg, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for all you do for our community. Appreciate you being our special guest today. And I hope you enjoy your Saturday. Can we get a warm goodbye and you know, a round of applause and thank you for Dagg today? Silent applause, if you will. While that's happening, Joey over on Facebook asked, did you use rooms or make this using the Cave Maker brush? Looks like a mix of both. It's a mix of both. So this was made in the cave biome, right? most likely here. Let's double check. I didn't actually make this map. I found this one on the workshop, but I do know the creator who made it, Zaganza Map. Zaganza Maps post their maps on Reddit. They frequent our streams. I don't know if they're here today, but this is one of their creations. So you have the room tool used to carve out these sections of cave, and then they came back through with the terrain tool and raised the cave area in nice and tight using the terrain tool, which allows it to bring it in very seamed. So honestly, that's more just aesthetically pleasing for you as the DM. It doesn't really affect the players because then usually in like a virtual tabletop, they can't see beyond these walls anyway. So it's kind of a moot point. But they use the room tool to make this arena. And then over here, they carved some cave biome, and then they used the pit room over here to make this water area, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe the pit tool over here to sink down. No, this is part pit, part water tool. Here, let's see if we can absorb this. Kind of hard to tell sometimes at a glance. Yeah, that's not a room. So that is not a pit room type. This is just natural biome that they filled in with a lot of rocks and stuff to give it a neat flair, like a craggy flair. Anyway, Dagg, we got a lot of kind words coming in. Thank you, Dagg. Very good to sort of meet you. Thank you, Dagg, for the encouragement when I first started making maps. Morgana claps. Let's see here. But yeah, a lot of kind words and, you know, positivity. Dagg, thank you so much for being here today. You have a wonderful weekend, my friend, and I will catch up with you later. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect you from the Discord call. That way we don't need to worry about the sound anymore. And yeah, you, again, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experiences with tabletop gaming and dungeon mastering and map making and modding and everything in between. You have a wonderful weekend. Bye, Dagg. Okay, so we've got Dagg. He's saying bye over on Twitch for anyone who is wondering. So we're going to go over to our Q&A segment after this. So if any of you have support inquiries, need guidance in your map making, have questions about the map on screen, or, you know, you're new to Dungeon Alchemist and have a whole ton of questions, feel free to drop them in chat. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break so I can freshen my drink and use the restroom. When I get back, we'll start diving into your questions. Thank you again, Dagg. Absolute pleasure having you on today. Let's add the water back in here. Let's do cave water or Fey Plain water. I like the Fey Plain water because you can actually see down in it a little bit. Anyway, I'll leave this beautiful map up for everyone to enjoy the view while I step away for a couple of minutes. Actually, you know what? I got to pull up the BRB screen. Dagg's going to be in chat, so he's going to be hanging out with us in Twitch chat. I am back. Sorry for the delay, everyone. What did I miss? Hey, okay, I'm back. So someone had a question about the snow biome. What's the question you have? We did have a question earlier from Thomas Patowski. I don't know if they're still here. Thomas, if you are here, I would love to address your question first because it's the oldest question. And then we will address Zombods and then Aaron's. Aaron Aronson. Aaron. Welcome back. Sorry, I won't do it anymore. So there's some objects that, for instance, wall-mounted objects like shelves, that if you raise or lower them too much, they will show on other floors, okay? It's impossible to really get them to be exactly anywhere other than like a foot or two beyond the spot on the wall they're supposed to be height-wise. And there's a reason behind this, and we've been working through and fixing a lot of assets, but wall assets and ground assets behave differently. Walls, floor assets, when they're on the ground is 0, right? But when an object mounts on the wall, there's a wall 0 and there's a ground 0, right? There's a floor 0 and a wall 0. So essentially, even though you could have two objects at the exact same height, if one technically comes from the ground, it behaves differently than one from the wall. And so a lot of those wall-based ones, we've had to kind of adjust them and manually fix them, and we fixed quite a few, but there's still a few out there that we've missed. So if you could spin up a thread in the Discord, show some screenshots, share the map, that would help tremendously, because then we can look at the assets, add them to the list. The more we track down of these assets, the more we can fix. Quite a few of the wall assets have been updated to reflect this, and I think the next update will fix a lot more of them, but there's still a few out there, objects, even floor-based ones, that sometimes leak through to the floors above. And this is because multi-level is a whole new thing added into Dungeon Alchemist. Adds a whole new level of complexity. You know, getting objects to appear at their exact level only is one thing that is tricky, because some objects you want to appear on multiple levels and some objects you want to only appear on that level. I think eventually we might even give a setting to allow you to set what level the object appears on, or like have it be a global versus a local type thing like you're saying. So, Tom Matowski, I don't know if he's still here. I want to address his question still, though. Are you guys planning to work on different render engines when exporting? I don't think so. For the most part, it's going to be continued like what we have. What I could recommend, though, is take the image and run it through like an image editor. Also, if you don't have much image editing skills, there's plenty of tools online that you can run an image through a filter and give it a completely different look. So, you know, you could obviously export as black and white, but some people have done filters to make things look more hand-drawn, or, you know, add different lighting to them, or to give it a more, you know, like an cartoonish or cartoonish feel. Filters that are, you know, available for free through websites that you can just plug the image into and it applies it, is probably the quickest, simplest way to accomplish those kind of things. That said, I can understand if you're trying to get a very specific look. I don't think we will, because we'd have to come up with new assets for every single stylized export. Let's see. So the floating assets, essentially my best advice, Aaron, is to grab the asset, make sure you have collisions disabled, right? And then just move it down a little bit at a time until it's no longer visible on the floor above, or move it up till it's no longer visible on the floor below. And what you do is in between movements, this is where you got to check and do things correctly. So if you look at, like, say this object here, right? Down on this floor, let's say this little spear rack, okay? If this object, which is a wall object, is raised too high, it will likely show on the floors above. Looks like that one's fine. Darn. Could also try... This might be a poor object for this. See, this one's on both floors because of its height. Sometimes it may not even be visible on the other floor and it's still showing through to it. So it's kind of one of those things, you got to take it or leave it, and it's frustrating. For the time being, some objects are buggy and will show on the wrong floor if they're at the incorrect height. It won't usually be objects that mount on the floor. It'll usually 9 times out of 10, 99 out of 100 be a wall mountable object. So if you adjusted the height of a wall mountable object, that's the first place to look. By the way, everyone, we are answering all your questions, Dungeon Alchemist related, for the next, let's say, half hour, 20, 30 minutes. So if you have any support inquiries, questions about our development, need guidance with your map making, let me know and I will add it to our list of questions that have come in, and we'll address them in a first come, first serve basis. So Tom, I apologize, but it doesn't look like we'll have any, art-based filters or anything like that, but I would just run it through a filter to give it a hand-drawn style after you export it. So, and Aaron, regarding different heights, I think we addressed that to its extreme there. I know some assets will do it while others won't. You got to kind of have to find which ones do it. Maybe replace them with ones that are similar that don't. It's frustrating. It's kind of hit or miss. I'd say about 80 to 90% of the objects that used to have this problem no longer do, but there's still a handful that do. Just pour soy sauce over it. And remember, at the end of the day, when there's a quirk or a bug or something in Dungeon Alchemist, we still are very much in early access. So as much as this feels like a very full-featured and complete program, it still has a long ways to go on its roadmap till it's finalized and a finished product. So bear with us as we work through these bugs and quirks. Okay, next question is from Tropism. I've not seen the way in which assets are grouped. Is it click and drag? Or is it a box around? Watch this, Tropism. I'm actually in the build right now, okay? If you hold the left click and drag, it will select those objects and group them. This allows you to move them as a group. Notice the more I select, the more it lags out. So be wary when you do that. I don't think there's like a shift click for this. No, it's just a drag and click. We do need to add more presence for multi-level. You don't want to get all the objects below. Yeah, I need to talk to Carl about that when he gets back. That's something I don't think he's taken into account, is verticality. Because you definitely don't want to be selecting objects below that floor. A shift click? You really want to go through and click every object individually? Honestly, Aaron, yes. Anytime you find an object that does it, share it with us. Share the map, make a support thread for it. Because if we could track it in some way, it's better. Another place to send it is through the report bug menu, because that actually sends the exact map to our dev team. Our junior dev, Quentin, takes a look at the map and then passes it on to the appropriate team as well. But yeah, we need to determine these objects if there's some that are still doing it. So if you report them in the forums, report them through the bug report feature, it helps tremendously. Okay, so did you see Thomas's other question, Atlam? I think you missed it. It was a little bit above. Can you add it to the bottom of the list here, below tropisms? I think it is... I'll read it out loud while you add it to the list, just so we have a record. Just wondering, Foundry VTT now natively supports levels. Is the team working on an export feature for transparent floors, so in said VTT be able to see through the floor below? At this time, no. Mainly because we were already about 80% through our current update that we're working on when Foundry launched this feature. And we had already launched a multi-level map, making tool and feature over a year ago. Not to blame Foundry or us. I think there was just a lack of communication between the two teams. And there really wasn't, them reaching out to us saying, hey, we're making this multi-level feature. You should make an update in parity. Nor did they reach out to us and say, hey, we noticed you have multi-level. Can we work our update around your multi-level? So it's not like, basically, our multi-level came out a year before theirs did. And they didn't take any considerations of our design when they made their multi-level, which I'm glad they didn't, because theirs is really intuitive and interesting. When we designed our multi-level and exports, we designed it to work with as many virtual tabletops as possible. And pretty much all virtual tabletops at the time didn't natively support multi-level. We were ahead of the game, basically. We jumped the gun, so to speak. We kind of took the path we thought most virtual tabletops would, which is each level is exported separately and allows you to set them as a separate scene, i.e. each level is its own scene. So right now in Foundry, in any version of Foundry, whether it's the levels version or earlier, you can import our individual levels as separate scenes and then link them together using scene regions, which is also a native feature in Dungeon or in Foundry. Yeah, not everyone uses Foundry, so we have to think about that with our exports. I know a significant chunk of our community does use Foundry. So now that we are aware of this feature that launched in April, by the way, just barely, only a handful of months ago, right? At the end of April, I believe. I might be wrong. But anyway, we have had very little time to adapt and react to this. It's something that likely won't be incorporated in this update because we're just too deep into and too many things to work on that we had already planned on for Fun with Objects Part 2, that it's going to be hard to tack on a whole new feature for a very specific export for a new feature for Foundry that not even everyone using Foundry is adapted to, because a lot of people don't jump to the latest versions right away. They usually stick with older builds until their modules are available, right? So I honestly understand why you want it. Having a more seamless experience with levels where each level is like a layer instead of a scene, right? And you could view them in a top down and there's transparency on each layer except for maybe the bottom one, which the bottom one would be your background layer, and then everything above it acts like a foreground layer. I understand what you're trying to do. The devs are aware of this. It's just not something that we can easily shoehorn into the current update effectively. With the manpower we have and the time we have. So I think after this update launches, probably in the beginning of the fall or mid-fall when this update launches and we roll into a new one, there's going to be a small patch that we release post Fun with Objects 2. There's been some discussion of trying to make this feature into that. but there's a few problems we have to tackle to make this work effectively. One, Unity doesn't natively support any file format that offers a transparency within it. So we'd have to essentially build in, PNG support or WebP support for Unity into Dungeon Alchemist. So we'd have to have like a converter, right, that converts a file from one thing to another built into Dungeon Alchemist. We'd also likely have to come up with a way to sort of make everything outside of the walls of a structure not worth exporting, not visible anymore. So we'd have to come up with a whole new export method. And there's still plenty of people who may want to use Foundry in its older ways and not use this new levels method. So we still have to offer both original exports and this new transparency method as an option, like a checkbox that you can toggle and go, yes, I want transparent levels, instead of, no, I just want a traditional one. So it is tricky. There's a lot of things to take into consideration, and it's not something that we can just easily do. Though I do understand the need for it, and I will say this, right now, if you build a multi-level map, save it, make a master save, right, and a backup save of that, then you're going to go in and go to File, Save As to make a new save. And once you've made a save as, convert the biome from whatever biome you're in to the green screen biome. This will essentially put green everywhere and gets rid of the terrain. It keeps objects, but it gets rid of the terrain, and it keeps buildings. So everything inside of buildings, it stays. And what this allows you to do is you can essentially delete all the objects outside of buildings, except for maybe things that people can walk under, like a bridge or an arch or something. A sign, and then take that, export that map with the green background, take that and put it into a photo editor like Photoshop or GIMP, which is free, by the way, and you can remove the green. There's even websites that you can take an image and it'll just remove all the green for you. And then you save that image as a PNG. You now have a transparent background, right? Or a WebP, whatever. And you can do this for all the layers above the first layer, right? So essentially layer, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 above. You now have what is just the rooms and a green area, which is much easier to remove. Green, I don't know if you're familiar, it's what's used to like do newscasts and movie, filming. They use green or blue backdrops, red backdrops, and they chroma remove that color. Green screen is a very common term, but chroma key is another one where they remove that color from that backdrop and then insert a different backdrop altogether. The green screen background helps. Another thing that helps, and this is a pro tip, because the green screen background, you'll have no shadows. That's the reason I like it. If you use abstracts, you could keep the same map because they have these abstract objects, right? And they're green as well. Oh my. That's new. I didn't notice that. Hello, backdrops. That's so cool. Very cool. Anyway, okay. So this here, a lot of people will use this as a background to like set below a plane of a building, to set up a green screen backdrop that they just put into any map. The downside of that, though, is it has shadows and weirdness on it. So it's problematic. It's not a consistent green color. That's why the green screen background is the way to go. Yeah, you see this? There's a backdrop in here. This is new. I didn't know about this. This is cool if you want to put like a token in it, right? Take a photo shoot of it or an object you're showcasing. It's a neat little feature. Also, here, let me test something while we're here. Yeah, soon you won't need so we could put these on walls. Isn't that great? Yeah, for vignettes. I am on a dev build right now. I am totally in a dev build. I just decided to play it fast and loose today. I'm surprised more people haven't taken advantage of this, been asking me all sorts of questions or showing me stuff or asking to see stuff. Just giving y'all a surprise, little fun stream today. Okay. No, it doesn't automatically jump to the next increment. I think it's all by hand. I can't dive into every detail, but I mean, if y'all have questions, we can kind of talk about them. Okay, let's see here. What other questions have I not covered? Did we cover everything? How you doing, Guapa? Sen's Fortress? Dang, that sounds cool. How's it going so far? Oh, yeah, let's cover the question with the snow. Let's make a new map. We'll just go to the snow biome. I'm pretty sure that covers it. So the snow biome is a terrain option, right? You could set elevations, water options, right? You could set vegetation levels. And then lastly, you can set weather. So you can do no weather, right? Or snow. Snow is the default. No weather is my preference. When you generate a biome of the snow biome with no weather, there's still snow on the ground, but there's not snow on all the objects. When you do snow weather, it puts it on all the objects. So notice now it's snowy, but there's no snow on the trees or rocks, right? But if I go into this terrain biome and change it to the snow weather, key difference. Now snow is on top of everything. Even any object I add, I could add a chest or anything to the environment and it'll have snow on it. If you have a building, there'll be snow on the roof. So you can transition between the two. You can have one without the other. So currently, you can remove the snow. Eventually, we'll have a brush that'll allow you to paint textures and whatnot onto like the ground or objects. So you can add like moss or cracks or snow or footprints or whatever to different environments. I don't think I have a lion in my objects. Here, we'll add this lion. Sure. We'll put some snow on this lion in a moment. You ready? Gonna change it to snow weather. Yeah, the decal tool. But the decal tool has been delayed temporarily for a couple of reasons. So the team member who worked on the decal tool left the team unexpectedly. And then anyway, there was some drama there because we found out they hadn't been working on it as long as and hard as they said they had. So basically not as much work had been done on it beyond a certain point. And now another dev in our team has to sit down and go through this person's coding, figure out everything, and then finish it. One thing I want to check If you turn it into a brush, is it on its side? Right? So let's select this object. Yes, it does. Heckin' yes, it does. So it copies the properties of the object. He's really lying down on the job. Yep. But we crashed DA. We crashed it good. All right, everyone. I think that's a sign. It's time to wrap it up. Time to wrap up the stream. If we got any last minute questions or maybe one more teaser you want to see? Time to do a sick rap. I wish I could rap. I'm more of a limerick guy. Mrs. Mac and Mini Mac, they hate it because I will just randomly sing a song to them and they're like, wait, is this a real song? I'm like, no, I'm making it up as I go. And they're like, well, how is it so rhymed? I'm like, it's not hard to rhyme. Oh, you wanted Dungeon Alchemist Job Simulator, right? Or no, Job Finisher. Remember when people wanted the tax edition of Dungeon Alchemist? I'm all about mapping in a crazy way. Your bard player can't rhyme. Listen, not all poetry it rhymes, okay? Also, not all songs. Maybe they could just do haikus. It was tree hitboxes. Wait, were you dealing with another problem? What's going on, Aaron? As far as I can tell, there isn't a specific angle for snapping because every object is different. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness, really? Huh. And I mean, some objects are much taller, so they cover multiple levels, right? Wait, are you saying Polish people have a hard time rhyming in their native language? I didn't know this. Or he's trying to do it in his second language. Never mind, I misread that. Never mind. Let's see here. I heard of a bard who was like an artist, right? And they would just like squiggle out like a spell. Thank you everyone for hanging out today. Today's show was absolutely a blast. Honestly, I'm just embarrassed to do limericks on stream. That, and I'm listening to another tune, which makes it hard. Y'all are too much. Hey, Anani, thank you for the raid earlier. Happy to see that you're doing so well. Very, very happy for you, my friend. Speaking of Anani, this lovely map was the winning map for the Brew Dam Challenge. Our upcoming Dam Challenge is Beach Getaway. Y'all have, 7 days to enter. Less than 7 days, technically, I guess. So you have till end of day on the 7th. So that's Friday the 7th before 11:59 p.m. or 23:59 p.m. in your time zone, wherever you are located. Make sure you build your map using Beach Getaway as inspiration. Make a map of any shape or size. Submit that map before the deadline to the Dam Challenge channel. Make sure you read the rules pinned to the channel. There's a little pin icon in Discord. You can right click on the channel and go to pins. Either way, the pinned rules will guide you through what you need to do to make sure your entry qualifies. So you got to enter before the deadline. Your entry has to have some images, a description. The map has to be shared on the workshop, and a few different things. That way, it's easy for me to locate, easy for others to locate and check out as well. Remember, if you enter the Dam Challenge, you have a chance to win a $10 Hero Forge gift card, so you can make yourself a token, export that token for use in Dungeon Alchemist, or order it and get it printed and shipped to you, whatever. But that said, it is absolutely a blast to be able to check out your various entries, and I do appreciate everyone that does enter. Remember, when you enter these contests, it's really more a challenge against yourself to push your map making to new limits, to learn new skills, to try and build something outside your comfort zone with a time limit. Anyway, please consider entering the Beach Getaway Dam Challenge and submitting your entry before the end of the deadline, August 7th. End of day. So there's my rant there, my little notification information. Excuse me. Jim, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. You have a lovely weekend. We'll chat later. Belle? Are you still here? Oh, I was just about to ask if you're still here, and you beat me to it. Hey, see ya, Nani. Belle, I ended up pre-ordering that Dungeon Crawler Carl book and the starter kit. So I'm excited to get my hands on that. I was really eager to pull the trigger when I realized it would include PDFs for all of it. And then also the physical books. And then in addition to that, I was reading yesterday on Reddit that people at San Diego Comic-Con were playing a version of it. There was like a limited entry where you could pay to enter, but there's also like a limited line first come first serve to play, and a bunch of people got to test it out, and most everyone I seen spoke highly of it. So I haven't seen anyone say anything bad, so that's good. And I got clarification for sure. It's its own rule system, so it's not really piggybacking on like 5e or Pathfinder. It's its own unique rule system. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. That's awesome. Happy to hear that you guys will be doing that. That's awesome. Hey, Deus Pulpa. Thank you. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Appreciate the kind words. Honestly, that's the best we could hope for. Some praise, a little bit of praise and love on our indie project that has like touched the lives of so many, GMs out there. I don't know. It's not as wholesome if the AI isn't narrating stuff though and dropping achievements. That's like my favorite part, the loot drops and the achievements. Really, really excited for the future of Dungeon Crawler, Carl. We'll talk about that some other time. The voice change? Oh, when it when it tone shifts. The other day I was working on my donut and I actually did a pretty good donut impression. My wife was shocked. I'm going to keep working on it. When I get a little bit better, I'll try it on the stream. It was like something like this. What did I say? This is preposterous! Carl, I'm scared. Yeah, he is going to be the official donut voice. That's really good that they brought him on. I was a little worried because I thought the community would riot if he didn't get a role. People were hoping he'd be the AI or a donut because either one of them is going to be represented digitally as a CG type thing. And he's perfect for those roles. Though I would love to see some other people in some roles, drawing some attention to it. I heard Seth Green wants to be Mordecai, which, I mean, Seth MacFarlane is putting the show together as the showrunner, so likely Seth Green will get a good chance at a chance at being in it because he's worked with him on Family Guy for like 20 years now. Seth MacFarlane likes to use a lot of his own people over and over and over again. New achievement! Well, everyone, I hope you have an amazing weekend. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Appreciate you all enjoying Dungeon Alchemist and using it for your campaigns, for your streams, for your artistic venues, or outlets, I should say. Anyway, thank you, everyone, so much for being here for today's damn show, for hanging out with us with Dagg. Sorry for those that came in a little late and missed it. Remember, you can always check the VOD after. Dagg was an absolute blast to have on the stream today, and hope to have more of our team on soon. I've been talking to another person on our dev team, hoping they can be on in an upcoming stream, but it's been hard to lock down scheduling, mainly because they've been out of office, and it's something I just don't want to bother them about while they're enjoying their time off. Anyway, thank you again, everyone, for being here. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you, all the long-time viewers, all the first-time viewers, whether you've been using Dungeon Alchemist since the Kickstarter beta or you just got it this week. We appreciate each and every one of you. Remember, we have an upcoming stream this Monday You can tune in Monday for Mapmaker Monday, which starts at 9 a.m. Pacific and runs for about 2.5 hours. So it'll end around 11:30 Pacific. For those of you wondering, that will start at 12 p.m. Eastern or 4 p.m. UTC. Hopefully you can extrapolate from those different time zones. That said, we do have an event in our official Discord. If you're a member of our Discord, you can go to that event section and click reminder or RSVP, and that will give you a reminder, or you click interested, and it'll give you a reminder in Discord when we go live. That way you, if you forget, you can, check it out on the go or whatever. Keep in mind, those reminders are very light, very low intrusion, 2 a week. Okay. So it's not like it's going to be blowing up your phone constantly. There is the Damn stream every Saturday and Mapmaker Monday every Monday. These streams are considered AMA format. So during our question segment, during the Damn stream, you can ask me Dungeon Alchemist related questions. I'll answer them. During the Mapmaker Monday segment, though, I'll answer questions the whole time. I'll drop whatever I'm doing to provide real-time guidance to show you how to solve the problems you're having with your maps. So if you can tune in on Mapmaker Monday, it is the stream to attend. Let's see here. Did I have any other news, information that I needed to cover? Thank you again for our, active chatters. Thank you for our lurkers. Thank you for our mods. Particularly Dagg for being such an amazing guest, and Atlam for being so on top of keeping the crowd corralled and keeping all the questions, in our private chat, so I can stay on top of all the community questions. As always, Atlam, you are an all-star. Anyway, we're going to run a quick ad, and we're going to wrap up the stream. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you back on Monday. Back out. Bye.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak-Ta, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him!
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled
Realm of Goyak-Ta, please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map maker, on Steam today.
All right, again, thanks again, everyone, for your attendance, for your support. We'll see you back with Mapmaker Monday. I hope your weekend is safe, excellent, uneventful, and full of fun. Mac out. Bye.